Hello and welcome back. It has been a very long time. Sorry, I've been away, but I've been helping my family out with some things and I need to take a break. I want to come back sooner, but just didn't have the desire or like the feel of like wanting to talk about anything until now, just based on like some of the things I've seen around the YouTube. But today I'm just gonna focus on the whole Brittney J situation. You know, sometimes watching it does feel like it's Brittney J versus the world, but then you do have a few creators like Jones and a couple of others who will kind of come to Britney's defense, but still point out where she does misstep. And watching everything as a whole, which is why I put off this video for a little bit longer than I wanted to, because I really wanted to see a lot of different opinions on both sides, either for Brittney, against Brittney, or people who kind of float in between and who could see both sides. And I'm more of a person who kind of can see both sides. But today I am focusing on Brittney for the simple fact, it seems that she's not understanding cause and effect. That some of the things she does causes what she's going through. And I'm not talking the extreme things like the CPS, the police, and all that. I'm talking more about the behaviors that lead up to these things. For example, people typically just don't jump to CPS as their first way of like striking out against somebody they don't like. I have just never seen that even on YouTube in some of the grimiest of communities. I've not seen CPS used as like a first option. Now, CPS should never be an option in my opinion, unless you've seen like things in the home that are extremely concerned to where CPS needs to be called. But outside of that, no. So that being said, it's typically smaller issues that have exacerbated over time that have led us here. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the cause and effect portion. Now, before all this stuff kicked off, I remember about a year ago, everything in like this area of YouTube seemed to be kind of chill after maybe like a year or two prior of everyone like infighting, striking channels, this, and that. And it was pretty peaceful and calm. For me, what seemed to be kicked off was the whole Sebastian Rogers case. Now, again, there are people on both sides of this. Some people are with like the Proudfoots, Chris and Katie, and other people are with Seth Rogers, the missing child's parent, the father, I should say, the bio father. So the Proudfoots are Katie Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot. Chris is the stepdad, Katie's the bio mom, and Seth Rogers is the bio dad. Sorry, I didn't clear that up sooner, but I just want to make that clear now. Now, everything was kind of going cool. There was a lot of back and forth. People disagree. That is fine. If you want to go on your platform and cover the case from your perspective, that's what you do. Not everyone's going to agree with you, and that's fine. So what I was pretty much seeing was like a lot of civil discourse. Nothing too concerning. Now, for me, this is just me, somebody casually watching and just kind of picking things up here and there. It seemed to kind of go a different direction when the parents actually started going on YouTube, like literally going on creators' platforms, sitting on panels, giving their opinions, this, and that. And I understand wanting to give the family like a place to go, a place to like be heard, more reach. That makes sense. But what tends to happen is sometimes the creators will not set boundaries for the families to protect both them and the family. You kind of have to do that so things don't spiral. And I believe being spiraled because boundaries were not set. They were on panels, they were given wrenches and channels. I'm like, oh, I understand giving them a wrench to a degree, um, to protect them so they're not bullied or people are making nasty, disparaging remarks about them unnecessarily, and or they're being cloned. There have been lots of cloned accounts over the years, so I understand giving the wrench for that purpose. But again, the boundary with the wrench should be like, this is a courtesy wrench, so I know it's you. You are not to be actually having mod duties. This is just so you can chat freely, but do not mod. My opinion. Now, to me, the cause of this whole kickoff, and a lot of people may not like this, and it's because Brittney J decided to go in a RICO. case with other creators like Bullhorn Betty, TikTok Tony, Nick the Hat, all those people. They tried to join in against that. I do not think that people would have had a big issue with Brittney had this lawsuit been of her own volition. Had she filed the lawsuit on her own to go at Granny, I don't think anyone really would have said too much about that because she's doing it on her own. For me, where it kicks off is where it comes out that Brittney wasn't even a part of the original filing. When I say original filing, I mean she was not a part of the whole plan to do this. From my understanding, is that the people who were following the lawsuit initially came to her and asked her, did she want to be a part of it? And from what I've gathered, what I've seen and heard, Brittney did it to get back at Granny. She saw it as a chance to take Granny's watching down. And to me, that's like, nah, if you can't stand out on your own, don't do it. And if I recall correctly, I think those streams are down. But even Brittney herself was struggling with this. Even she was questioning herself, should she do it? And I believe she asked her audience, her subscribers, and on a couple of live streams, what do you guys think? Should I do this? Now, there were some people who said, yes, you should. It's an opportunity, take it. Other people were like, nah, I don't think you should do that. It doesn't seem like a good look. Why would you do this? These are kind of chill. And I was on that boat. I was like, well, if you can't do it on your own, why do it at all? You have no control of this. And I say she had no control because she was not like a chief player filer. She had no decision making power. I remember her going back and forth, and she finally decided to go ahead and sign on. And I was like, do not sign that. I'm like, do not do that. And quite a few people in her chat like, no, don't do that. My thing is, if you're gonna sign off on this, you need to take that to a lawyer. Just let them look at it and go over it with you for you, because just signing on to random filings is not a good look. It doesn't go well for you. So that's to me what kicked off with the Granny portion. And on Granny's end, I'm not even upset that the fact that she's mad, because this is the whole Rico case. Rico's a whole different deal. It costs a lot of money, yada yada yada. Brittney went on this because she wasn't paying for it, and when pressed to why she was signed on to this, and people even said, they're like, if you're doing this as a get back at Granny, just admit it. Just come out and stand up and say it. And I do remember people asking her that, and I do remember her saying that, oh, that's not the case, that's not what I'm doing, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, come on now. As neutral as I try to be, in the spirit I try to be, even I was like, nah, you doing it because it's free and it's a get back at Granny. For what reason, I don't know. I don't recall Granny speaking on her. So I'm like, to me, this was an out of nowhere. It's ridiculous. Even if Granny did come at you a little bit beforehand, y'all have history. Let's not play pretend. Y'all have history. Y'all have history going back and forth. Y'all have a history of truces. It's a whole thing. It's like those cousins like who grew up with each other and don't like each other. So let's call a thing and stand on it. But she did not do that. Now, she did when pressed way down the line. When everything started to hit the fan is when Brittney said, like, well, it was free. I was like, there you go. It was free. You weren't paying for it. You said, well, why not? The why not is because you wind up in situations like this. And Brittney, what you're feeling now, the effect is because of the cost. You signing on the RICO charges, case, whatever, when there was no need for you to do so, in my opinion. There was really no reason to do so. I remember words being like bullying, slander, defamation. My thing is this. If Seth and Tony and Nick and Betty, if they feel like they were like being slandered, defamation, and all the things, that's not you. That's not you. There was no reason for you to sign on to that, but you just did to try to do a get back, and it did not work in your favor this time. And now you are feeling the effect of the cause that you caused. So, do I feel bad for you? In the extreme cases, I do to a degree, but I can't just look at the end result without taking into account how you got here. What was the jumping off point, the catalyst, what have you. So that's my first talking point. My second talking point, I just kind of went over that a little bit, is the history between Brittney and Granny. They've gone back and forth over the years. Like I said, they've had their on again, off against the truces. You don't speak on me, I don't speak on you. You know, all that, all those things. So it's kind of like tit for tat in a way for me. I don't mind it, but let's not pretend anyone's hands are clean. Like I always tell people, the first time you choose to play in the mud, your hands are never clean again. It is what it is. Do your thing, but just own the shit that you do. That being said, here is a key point of this. Comes down to lack of accountability. Now, I'm just going to use Brand, Brandy, Brittney and Granny on this one, as I've done this whole video. So, the lack of accountability mostly comes from Brittney J, in my personal opinion. And I only say that because she will, when pressed, she will reiterate, double down, say I didn't say that, blah, blah, blah. And I've been like, well, I did not hear her say this. I don't recall this. But when other people have downloaded your live streams, Brittney, and this is really to you, when people have downloaded your live streams, playing back your own words, using them to make their point, that's when you have to kind of be like, well, you know what? I did say that, and say either A, I stand in it, or B, I apologize. Those are your two options at that point. But you choose C to double and triple down. I'm like, why do you do this to yourself? This makes absolutely no sense. You're just digging your hole deeper. So, and I use that to use Just Saying's video I watched, where apparently it's AI. I'm like, oh gosh, it's AI. Man, these are clips from all your live streams. And just because you take down your live streams doesn't mean it didn't happen, doesn't mean it did not exist. I'm sorry, stop it. You've been doing this for years. I've been around for at least, I want to say, a good 4 or 5 years, and you are good for taking down a live stream. Absolutely. You're absolutely taking down your live streams and taking no accountability for actions. But now people have caught on to you, and they have just started just recording your lives as soon as you start. So no matter what you say moving forward, your words are there. It is what it is. And this last time, I can't remember what it was. What were you pressing for home? Oh, Just Saying's video. There were some aspects where in the videos that, Just Saying was pointing out things, and other people were telling you, hey, Brittney, you said this, it's in the video, blah, blah, blah. And you didn't really, quote unquote, apologize until you're cornered. And that was just about Just Saying's video. Then let's fast forward to the Craig and the gun situation. And trigger warning, guys, on my channel, I am going to use like the words. I'm not a fan of the censoring. My channel's not monetized yet. And even if it is monetized, I really don't care. You know what? Craig pulled out a gun. He seemed to maybe be drunk, and he had the gun out. Not a good look. You come on your live stream, instead of saying, like, flatly that, Craig was wrong, he shouldn't have do that, I disavow that, blah, blah, blah. You really want to come out here and make excuses like, well, what about them? What about that? It does not matter. We're talking about Craig and the gun here, man. We're talking about Craig and the gun. Stick to the points at hand. When people call you out for things that have video proof, audio proof, just come out and say, like I said, A, I'm not apologizing for shit, I stand on it, or B, I shouldn't have done it, and I'll do my best to be better moving forward. That's your key issue. And I think that's what most people key issues is your lack of accountability until you're absolutely cornered and you have no choice. And then at that point, when you do apologize, it tends to be flippant and insincere. My opinion is what it is. Now, on to Granny's portion, people will forgive Granny a little bit more, because let's be honest, Granny has always been herself as far as I've seen. She admits to her mistakes. She admits to using the wrong words. She admits she doesn't always say the right words or say the right things, the right phrases, anything. But when things are played back at her, for the most part, from what I've seen, she was like, yeah, I'm an asshole. I did that. I can apologize for that. I can admit when I was wrong in this scenario. She's not going to sit there and admit to everything she did wrong, because if she doesn't feel that she's done anything wrong, in her mind, my guess, Granny, that you feel like, why should I apologize? She'll just stand on it and be done with it. And I can respect that. I really can. But overall, the key point for me for this video is that, Brittney, you're not always a victim. No one is always a victim, but you're not always a victim. And if you are a victim, you kind of need to think about what actions got you to where you are and sit on it. Reflect, do better. Because, as I said, as much as I can feel for you, I don't feel for you all the way, because I feel like you contribute to the messes that you find yourself in. Now, I've hoped you would do better. I have seen some positive changes recently, but then back the old unappealing behavior comes back. But we'll just have to see how you do moving forward. I'm going to end the video here. This is my first video back. I'm still trying to find my way with things. And you might hear from me a little bit in the future. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Be safe. Bye.